We want to thank our sponsor, Dark Kryptonite. Dark Kryptonite stops ransomware, malware, and phishing in their tracks, eliminating cybercrime, fraud, and information warfare. Dark Kryptonite utilizes advanced blockchain algorithms and zero trust models. Learn more at www.darkkryptonite.com.
My guest today leads a national law firm's information security and data privacy programs and mitigates their security and privacy risks to comply with client and regulatory requirements. Ken Fishkin has more than 20 years of experience implementing and supporting secure, complex information technology infrastructures. Since 2020, he's been the president of the New Jersey chapter of ISC Squared. He's also a member of the Executive and Threat Intelligence Committee of the Legal Services Information Sharing and Analysis Organization. Hey Ken, welcome to the show, and we're curious what your cyber fear is. What keeps you up at night?
Well, thank you, Scott, for having me on your show today. Really appreciate it. And the biggest thing that keeps me awake at night is things that are out of my control. And the biggest thing that's out of my control is third parties. So, especially with more and more things being sent up to the cloud, we are really at the mercy of these vendors. And we're giving them our critical data a lot of times. And we have to really take their word that they're doing the right thing. We can send them questionnaires, we can interview them, but we're not going to be doing testing like we do on our own systems to make sure that they're actually doing what they say they're doing. And that's the challenge that I have is there's a real leap of faith that you have to take when you're going with these vendors. And a lot of these vendors are small startups, some of them, and they're just breaking in. And there's a lot of risk with that.
I could see that why that could be such a challenge. And you make a great point. I'm thinking too, just with the pandemic, we were kind of forced to change the way we do everything. And I think a lot of people did at that point, kind of did a leap of faith and had to go to the cloud and put their trust in it, not knowing how secure, how safe things are. And I think it did get more secure, but is it 100% secure? I certainly doubt it and question it. But especially to your point there, third parties were relying on, and some of them are smaller. That could be challenging. You know what I was thinking? Tell us a little bit more. A lot of exciting things that you're involved in, Ken. I was wondering if you could share a little bit more background, your involvement in what you do at the New Jersey chapter of ISC Squared. You're the president there, a very busy man. What are some exciting things you guys do there?
So that's my biggest passion right now is really building up and growing our ISC Squared New Jersey chapter. I've been president for almost 3 years now. And we've the pandemic actually helped us. We grew it because a lot of people were looking for community when everybody was staying at home. And we started branching out, even unknowingly, getting people outside of New Jersey as well. So it really created this community that I never would have expected. We started small. I would introduce little programs such as public speaking workshops. We would have monthly meetings with multiple guests on, and we just started getting more and more people involved. And then we started to have in-person events. And because it was during the pandemic, I came up with picnics and other outdoor activities where we can get together, like happy hours. And that proved to be very successful. And it just kind of snowballed. And now we have we had an international conference in December where we had people from all over the world participate. We had over, I'm going to say at least 20 or 30 countries represented with 200 chapter members and over 20 speakers. It was pretty amazing, and it was all virtual.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And it's nice to see you're bringing a kind of a sense of community and people together within the state. And really, New Jersey's kind of exploding when you think about it from a standpoint of cybersecurity between what's being taught at the schools and the universities and the sheer number of talent that we're finding right here in the state. And you're also doing some stuff there. You're advisory board member of New Jersey InfraGard chapter. Maybe tell us a little bit about that too, Ken.
Yeah, so that's something that I've been doing for the last 6 months. It's given me an opportunity to learn more about what the FBI does and the relationship with the private sector that they have. And I really appreciate now what they're trying to do, because a lot of times companies or individuals are fearful of going to the FBI. They just don't want anything to do with them. So they're really doing a massive outreach program. And this InfraGard program has been around for years now, but it's a great way for them to make sure that everybody knows what their roles are and what to do if you do have a security issue with your company, and what their role is. They're not going to come into your company and take over an incident breach that happened. They're going to help you mitigate it and do what they can as far as making sure that other organizations are protected and catch those criminals.
That's great. And it's nice to see when you've got kind of the public and private sector working together, and there's help out there. We're not all alone if things happen. I think that's so important there. It's also, you also work with, you're volunteering with the Cybersecurity Workforce Alliance, which I think is wonderful. Tell us a little bit about that. And that certainly can be encouraging to some of our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, so I got into that for the last few years, and that's been a wonderful experience. It's working with a company called IQ4, and they are really leading the way to help students get jobs. And by doing that, they've developed these pathways to get there, showing people what they need to do, what skills they need to get in order to get to the next level. Like if you want to be a SOC analyst, this is what you need to do. So my role has been going to schools like St. Peter's, especially, where I act as a mentor, and the kids would perform oral presentations in front of me on a weekly basis, and I would critique them, and they would go through the NIST framework, going through the 5 phases of the NIST framework. And it's been a wonderful experience, because the kids are new with cybersecurity, and they're learning from people who have real world experience of how to apply it.
That's great. Well, we really appreciate all that you do, mentoring students and those interested in cybersecurity, and certainly from your presentations, your leadership roles, and these different groups. You're really helping all of us keep safer. We really appreciate that, Ken. Hey, maybe you could tell us what's a great way if somebody wants to reach out and have a conversation with you, connect with you, learn a little bit more about some of the great stuff you're involved in. How can they do that?
Well, the best thing to do is just go onto my LinkedIn page, and I'm pretty accessible, and you'll see all the events that we're doing there, and ISC Squared's chapter's LinkedIn page as well. Also, our homepage, isc2chapternj.org. We have a newsletter that we put out monthly that has a list of all the activities and all the programs that we have, such as mentoring and a ton of other activities I can't even think of off the top of my head, but we're constantly expanding. And I also just want to mention that we're having a conference coming up in June, and that's really been my main focus right now. It's pretty exciting, Scott. Of course, you're going to be there. And we're going to have over 40 speakers at this one-day conference at Kean University. And we're also going to have a career track as well, which is new for us. So if you want a new headshot, or if you want your resume reviewed, or if you just want some advice, we're going to have speakers talking about various different topics about careers. And that's a whole track that we're really excited about.
That's great. And it's not a simple feat to put all this together. You're really the man behind the curtain doing all the hard work, organizing these events and things. So we appreciate all that you do, Ken. And thank you again for joining and sharing your insight with us. And keep up the good work, keeping us all safe. Thanks for joining.
Well, thank you, Scott, for having me today. It's been a pleasure.